I didn't expect to be scared of sheep, but it turns out sheep can be pretty scary. Black Sheep was released in 2006. This is written and directed by Jonathan King. And I have to say, it's pretty decent. I didn't mind this at all. I found some bits of it to be not too gruesome and gory. I have quite a high threshold for gore, but there were a few moments that were cutting it close to making me turn away. This was filmed in New Zealand, and it's about a bunch of sheep, and there has been an issue with genetic engineering, and the sheep are deadly. And I'll say no more than that. The actual specifics of the narrative are maybe not the most interesting. The pacing is fine. Everything makes sense. We go from one point to the next in a way that's very believable. But for me, the main appeal was just the sheep, seeing what would happen next. I never really connected with any of the characters or the journeys the characters were on. But I was invested enough to find out what would happen, and anything that is gory, graphic, it's done very, very well. There are some changes to some of the characters that made me feel quite sick, and I loved it. I absolutely loved those moments. And thankfully, the horror elements are quite frequent. It's not one of those films where there's a bit of horror at the beginning and then nothing happens for an hour. We actually have really nice intervals of horror with some calmer moments in between to move the actual story itself forward. And I thought it was very well handled. I don't think it's scary to the point that I can no longer look at a sheep. Not that I'm frequently around sheep, but certainly I don't think I'd like to be around one anytime soon. Black Sheep is a decent story, and the horror elements are mostly gore, and it gets quite gory. It definitely does. Not to my threshold, but as I said, there were a couple of occasions where it was cutting it quite close. Definitely eerie as a concept, very fascinating, very well executed, and in general, I was pretty impressed with it. If you're looking for a horror film that's maybe a little bit different, and if you want to look at sheep in a different way, then I'd say Black Sheep is definitely worth watching.